everybody. Good to be back with you. So let's continue with our composite chart series this week and talk about composite moon in a sextile or a trine to Mars. Sexy, sexy, hot, warm, good stuff. Moon-Mars aspects are very steamy, and they always produce ample energy. We tend to bring out the most personal and subjective sides out of each other. They can make us entirely more touchy. So in the difficult configurations, we are wrestling with emotional control and reflexive responses, and it's very, very passionate, and everything happens in the moment. So we get the best out of all of that business with a sextile or a trine between Moon and Mars, and it's excellent. It's like a streetcar named Desire without the problems. So in a composite chart, this is what we both become. It's not synastry. Synastry is chart-to-chart comparison, where you put the charts together and you look at how do our needs and complexes intersect or not. It's more how do I hook into you and how do you hook into me, and it's more descriptive of like the day-to-day involvement or the subjective experience that the two people have in a different way. Composite chart is what you both turn into. You know how you and that person become this when you interact with each other. You and that person become this when you interact with each other. That is the composite chart. So it's a picture of the chemical reaction that happens when we put two substances together. And this is a explosive but warm and not destructive reaction that we have. It's explosive in that Mars, even though the moon is a water thing, Mars is fed by the moon because the moon is this unconscious emotional pattern. And we tend to have very, very, it's the animal part of ourselves. It's the part of ourselves that we will lose emotional control. It is what it's showing. We become more emotional, more emotionally aggressive. That's what it is. It brings out aggression in the form of the feminine aspect of life, or emotional or unconscious or responses or knee-jerk reflexive reactions. We lose control very easily with Moon-Mars aspects. That's why they do tend to result in a lot of sexual activity, a lot of makeup sex in a relationship. The hard aspects, there's that conflict is going to lead to something. And these are aspects where the fire between the two of us does tend to lead to emotional upheaval, emotional ups and downs, because it does not bring out the most mature aspects of ourselves. We become very emotionally reactive and demanding and immature. And it can have an effect on the emotional longevity of a relationship. We can feel like over the course of time, with the hard aspects, that conflict, that passion, that fire that's being brought out it can be somewhat violent. It can be disrespectful. It isn't always constructive. See, with the sextile of the trine, we have the eruption of passion that is constructive, and it is reliably so. It is a mutual, it's mutually conductive. Yeah, that's what it is. We don't block each other's libido. Mars is the libido. And when it's blocked, either natally or in a composite chart or in synastry, it tries to go through. It tries to force, or we become angry because it backs in on itself, or it splits off, and it causes friction. It causes backup, because Mars is that part of us that wants forward motion. It wants to mate. It wants that warm, passionate involvement. And when that's blocked or resisted or frustrated, we become crabby, we become mean, we become temperamental, we exhibit all of the properties of not having achieved that end to satisfaction. And we might even become infantile. We might even become violent. Depends on what the aspect is. We don't have any of those issues of a backup or of Mars, that Martian aim of mating, or of having our desire fulfilled. That's never coming out sideways. We don't feel frustration. We don't do things that cause a backup or a friction that is not in alignment with a romantic or sexual relationship. So that sexy friction that naturally exists, even if you do not do anything else. You don't try to disturb it. You don't try to add to it. You don't try to make it anything. You don't try to control it. You just let it be that, what it naturally is. Because we don't try to stem each other's flow. Our emotions, what we're ready for, our readiness to engage in passion, physical activity, to give expression to, mutual expression to the libido. It is in such a flow between the two of us that it doesn't ever have to bypass the ego. We never feel an affront, which Mars can show up. It can make things very touchy, particularly with Moon Mars stuff. So we really get the best out of what Moon Mars means. And we don't complain about each other. We don't complain to each other. And it's the timing that, because a lot of us don't realize how much timing and biorhythms have to do with sexual compatibility. Because that is just naturally in alignment, there are more opportunities, natural opportunities for connection, for acting on our urges in ways where we both want to be there, we're both appreciating the moment, we're both engaged. So there's a regularity that the sextile or the trine between Moon and Mars contribute to. A regular involvement, a regular release of libido because of the, again, the readiness, the biorhythms being in order, the patterns, the expectation of what should happen when. See, our idea of what is normal, regular, the past, the moon, our habitual emotional patterns, and then that part of us is like, I want it now. I need release now. I'm stimulated now. The vulnerable emotional part of us that needs a nest or a sense of safety is always supported and appreciated, so the door is always open. So the predictability, the allowance, the regularity of interaction, of that mutual enjoyment, release of passion, that can contribute to longevity in a relationship. Because we don't feel like, at least on this level, that the other person's desire or libido or aggression is ever rubbing us the wrong way. We can't ever accuse each other of not being in the mood, you know, and being really involved, you know. So we don't ever feel that we have to do anything. We don't ever feel like we have to acquiesce or like, oh, you know, I'm really not in the mood, but, you know, I know it's got to go somewhere. You're going to punish me tomorrow. We don't feel like that. And even if we aren't like directly in that same space, it doesn't take very much prompting for us to come into that place. It doesn't take very much to turn us on, to the degree that things can, you know, go where they naturally go when we're both on the same page. And so that expectation of mutual agreements about physical affection, how we're going to direct our libido and our emotional energy, because when we are emotional, we may put that into romantic or sexual activity, or be able to mutually mobilize our feelings. Like we both can, even outside of the bedroom, we both actually become a little bit more like visibly emotional as a result of the other person's involvement. It's like we have that, they make us a little bit more of a Arabian horse, where we're used to being a draft horse. We're used to being a cold-blooded horse that maybe plods along, but, you know, they have this effect on us where we're a little bit racier. But it does not bleed out to affect anything in a negative way. It just brings out what it just upticks our own natural passion in a way that is very constructive to the relationship, particularly if it's a physical relationship, because that regularity of involvement, I mean, if you're physically involved with each other and you both want to be there, you got really good things going on. That is a really good basic ingredient for a successful sexual long-term relationship. And the affection, the attraction, it is very, it recycles itself, you could say. We do tend to be continually drawn to each other because it is so easy to both have success with each other and to feel like there's a lot of satisfaction in it. It isn't stale. You know, even as time goes by, we can still find each other to be a hot little number. So it does require mobilizing the feelings, Moon in a sextile or in a trine to Mars. We do have to mobilize that. It does have to go somewhere. Whatever, it does not matter what the aspect is. Mars does not stop. It doesn't, it's the force within us that is like that idea that I must perpetuate. I must go forward. It's almost like the lizard brain. It's the mating instinct. And on a very visceral or reptilian level, that energy that is a part of a romantic or sexual relationship, it has to go somewhere. And so examining where Mars goes in relationships, absolutely fascinating. It's one of my favorite things to look at, because you can very easily see where is that very primal urge or urgency contributing or being destructive. And when you have it contributing, then you can get those unicorn relationships that provide both emotional resonance and safety and comfort and attraction over a long period of time. So these are good aspects if you can get them. So if you're interested in knowing more about this, you can find me at my website, Truth and Aspect Astrology. I interpret all types of relationships. I do have my schedule open right now for Sinistry composite chart interpretation, natal chart interpretation, solar returns, and transits. So find me over there, and I will be back with you super soon with more super cool videos.